And away we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Real World Recovery Podcast. My name is Mitchell.
I'm Brett.
And you are in your one-stop shop for all things, having to do with Brett and I's day-to-day lives.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of the real.
Yeah. 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 Real frustrated. So I did this thing earlier today, and it was one of those like real you should really count your blessings instead of being frustrated with the situation. Situations, right? Mm-hmm. So my aunt and uncle's car's battery was dead, and they're coming back this week. So I was replacing the battery, and they sent me a little bit of extra money for doing it, and I was like grateful for that. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna stop at the Quick Trip, and I'm gonna wash my car and fill up because now I got the money to do that.
Sure.
And there was a bunch of bird crap on my windshield, and it was driving me nuts anyway. And I was like, perfect.
I thought birds weren't real.
Yeah, well, I mean, they leak oil apparently,
They're crap
just like my Lexus and most BMWs. But these are facts. So I go in and I'm like, here, put 50 on pump 7, whatever. And then I'm like, let me get a car wash. There's nobody in line for the car wash, right? Yeah. And so I go back out to my car, and $50 worth of gas you're there for a moment, but not like a whole lot of time. You know what I mean? It's 7, 8, 10 minutes tops, right? Mm-hmm. And so I, hang up the pump, and I turn around, and there is 5 people in line to the single car wash stall. Yeah. And I'm like, what is this? Yeah. What just happened? This is not real. And, part of me is like, okay, I'm just going to do it later. But then I'm like, the bird poop is there. I'm right here. Yeah. And I'm over at the spot in Monona. So it's like, and I'm like, yeah, well, and the thing about it is like, there was no one in line. Otherwise I wouldn't have bought the damn car wash. Yeah. Because I know how that one can be. Yeah. It's not, for you guys out there, it's not a particularly nice day here. It's warmer than it's been, and it's not as windy as it's been, but it's cloudy. It's overcast. It looks like it may rain. It's not, it's not the type of day where you're like lines for the car wash. You know what I mean? So it was just odd to me.
It's the next couple of days though.
And I don't know, maybe. And so I would turn to Darcy, and I'm like, you may as well go in and pee because we're gonna be here for like 40 minutes. And she's like, well, why does it take so long? And I'm like, oh, you'll see. And it's like, because in that one, guys, like, it won't open the door to leave until it lets the entire dryer timer run. Yep. So you have like 4.5, 5 minutes of car wash, and then like 2 whole ass minutes of sitting there waiting for the dryer to run.
Well, and then that one in particular, I've found that most people that go through that one get like the super ultimate, extra. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're like, give me everything.
Yeah, well,
I'm guilty of that though.
I mean, I can be as well. I mean, generally at Quick Trip, I will do the mid-range one because I want the undercarriage wash, and like, really, what are you paying for with the extras? But I don't know. But it was like one of those things where I'm like frustrated by it, and I'm like, this is dumb. Like, why has this happened to me? Oh, woe is me. Like, I cannot believe the universe has conspired against me to force me to sit in my car with my 15-year-old daughter for like 45 minutes. And then I was like, well, maybe we just missed a big ass car accident. Maybe that's why I'm stuck sitting here. And and I tried to be a little bit like, okay, but then I get home and my coolant is there, but not my radiator, which is fun. And I'm like, so I call up the place, and I'm like, yo, well, where's the radiator? Yeah. And then they're like, well, we don't know, so we're just going to refund you. And I'm like, wait, there's no explanation, this is what happened. It's just like, oh, we're just going to refund you. Okay, I guess. That doesn't help me have a radiator. Right. Like, okay. I don't know. So, yeah. That's my day. So I'm trying to be like, you know what, it'll be okay. Yeah. I'm here now. We're on a time crunch because you have all these extracurricular activities.
Lexus problems.
I mean, and that was something.
Some people call them Cadillac problems, but
I was sitting.
You'd have to have a Cadillac for that.
Remind myself that I am being frustrated that, about my Lexus. But anyway,
yeah. I mean,
la la la.
Yeah, boo-hoo.
I had a sad story. I don't know if I was driving a Civic, dude, I would still feel like upset that I haven't got my new radiator because my radiator is leaking, and if I keep pushing it, it's just gonna leak all over the place, and then I don't have a car at all.
But the point is the whole idea of quote unquote Cadillac problems is, problems in areas where before we didn't even have areas.
Yeah, well,
like, oh, I have a car to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And money to be able to afford replacement parts. And,
I don't really have money to afford replacement parts, but it has to get done.
Right, but, Mm-hmm.
I do. Anyway. So you started a new job this week, which we've been talking about for a couple weeks now, maybe even longer.
I sure did.
So what's that like, man?
It's in the IT umbrella, but it's I'm effectively managing their parts depot. So like anything that comes in or goes out of all of their inventory is my domain. It's
So let me guess, you immediately built a spreadsheet to track things going in and out.
No, they've got, software and everything already in place for all of that, but
I know you had to have done some if-thens because that's just your style.
Well, the first thing that I did after the obligatory walkthrough with my boss and kind of got the big picture, kind of this is the current projects that we're working on and here's kind of where we're planning on going with this, and that all of that
sure
kind of walkthrough first day stuff. Once I kind of was then left to my own devices for the rest of the first day. Well, actually, I guess it was the second day, because then my direct report manager on my second day was working from home or working at a different location or something, and so then one of the other people that I would be working with on the team, she was kind of showing me some other stuff that day. And then she was working on some other project. So then I was kind of doing some stuff on the computer and playing around with some stuff. Then I asked her, I was like, do you know where I could find a dolly? Like a, two-wheel thing to move around some heavy stuff. And she goes, I think so. Why? And I was like, well, I'm going to rearrange all the stuff in my cubicle. And so, literally,
nice.
Well, but so, all right.
No, I get it.
The parts depot is basically one very long room, right? Yeah. And the tech services enters on one side, and then on the very other end of the long room is another entrance, and that's the only two ways in or out. And the other entrance is where most of the deliveries and stuff will come in from the shipping and receiving, and other folks, other employees and stuff will occasionally come in there, networking team or things like that will come in and out from there, but sure. Most of the traffic is other people in the tech services team, and they're literally just on the other side of that wall closest to me. The cubicle has a window that I can see that door, and there's a window next to that door. the way that the cube was set up, my back was to that.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And I was staring at a blank wall. And I was like, how did the person that was working here for like over a decade stare at this wall with their back turned to the most likely place that people were going to come in and out? Like, this does not make any sense at all. Like, this is changing right now.
Yeah.
Like, so I've literally flipped the entire layout of it. So now I'm looking at the place that most of the people are going to be coming in and out.
It seems appropriate to be doing that anyway.
And so, like, everybody that's come in there since, they're like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
well, it's like another one of those, like, how did this not occur to anybody before me situations?
Right. And so since, there's been at least a dozen times that I've brought up just little things that I've seen, and I'm like, is this possible? Could we do this in the? Because I'm not super familiar with the intricacies of what their software can do yet, but
Sure.
I'm like, can
Things be altered?
Can the software do this? Can it work this way? And they're like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm like, am I the first person that thought of this? like so many times, I'm just like, really?
Well, it's interesting because I've worked at quite a number of places where you're doing something that doesn't make sense because that's the way it's always been done.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's like, yeah, but if you're doing it dumb, why would you want to do it dumb and frustrating when you could do it like simple and then painless?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and credit where credit's due. That's I have a lot of respect for the head of the entire department, because he gave, basically carte blanche to the manager that's,
to do it how you see fit.
He basically said when the person who was in my role left, he basically told the manager that oversees that department. He basically said, like, doesn't matter if things have been done a certain way. Like, if you want to go in and just wipe the slate clean and completely rethink everything, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, then you were a pretty good hire for that.
Yeah, and that's
because if anybody's going to find a way to do it easier, it's going to be you.
Well, and I mean, I think partly that maybe a little bit is why, like, they had me on a short list, because I was there for that relocation project, and so they kind of already had a feel for, like, kind of how I thought about things and approached projects, even in just for that narrow scope of a project. Like, that was how I even approached that, was like, hey, I see what we're doing, and I knew who I went to the person who was in charge. Like, it wasn't like telling them they're wrong or like bucking authority or anything. It was like just coming to them with the idea, like, what about this?
Sure.
And if it wasn't the way they wanted to do it, no problem. Like, not my call, but
sure. Yeah. I mean, like,
like, I also don't have any ego about it. Like, I don't care either way, really. Like, but I'm also not afraid to offer an idea or a point of view or, whatever. And it feels good that, like, even within the first week, that I'm included already on, conversations, and they're asking my opinion on things. And, that feels good. Everybody's very friendly there. Everybody's been very welcoming. So yeah, I mean,
my experience there has been pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, there's a reason that it was my first choice out of all of the places that I've applied and interviewed and all of that. And
well, there's something to be said about working somewhere where you don't dread going to work.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We've said it before on this podcast, but it's like, as cushy as we had it at our former job, and as much as they paid us, it still really sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, kill me now.
Yeah. And it did. Well, but the thing is, it didn't have to be, it
didn't at all.
And if I thought that it was completely hopeless, I wouldn't have made such an effort to try to go in and turn
it into something that was worthwhile. I mean, for a moment there, when we were allowed freedom and creativity in the process, it wasn't bad. But as soon as they cracked down, I'll follow the script.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, you've got to push this more. It's like, dude, you're missing the point of what we're doing.
Right.
Right. Now I don't want to do this at all.
Right.
And I'm your top performer, you dick.
And you're forgetting the fact that this entire team and department didn't exist until you literally asked me to build it.
Right. You created this. This was you.
You literally just gave me 2 sentences and said, make this. And I did. And it generated millions of dollars in revenue.
Whoops. Not anymore, it doesn't.
Right. So,
it doesn't anymore.
But, then, and also, if I didn't think it was worth, saving or whatever, I wouldn't have went out of my way to even go try to talk to, management at that point at the end.
I mean, you and I really did throw a lot of reason in their direction. You guys understand what you're breaking here.
Yeah.
And you just because you don't understand what we're doing doesn't mean that what we're doing isn't important to the customers.
Right.
Because that's really what it was about. It was about the customers who have been having this force fed experience of sign on the dotted line, sign on the, this is brute force in and out, la la la. Finally a voice at the end being hey.
Right.
It doesn't have to. It does. Not everybody here's like that.
Right.
I'm proof.
Right.
And then they're yeah, if I can deal with you, I'll still deal with the company because I like the product.
Right.
But if I can't deal with you,
and I'll actually
yeah,
have someone else call you.
I know. And it was just. Man, we're back on that.
But whatever, I mean.
Bought me a Lexus. Bought you a Lexus.
Me too.
Bought us a Lexus. We got Lexi out of it. Oh, well.
Yep.
My oldest daughter's mother last night was going off about my shoe collection. And I'm when I had the job that allowed me to buy all those shoes, I was helping you. And now I'm broke and on a shoestring budget. I cannot help as much.
Yeah.
I bought Darcy a fucking saxophone.
Yeah.
That wasn't cheap. I just, the whole, you don't do anything for me is, sometimes it's a sad, it frustrates me. They only see right now. They only see, people have a tendency to only see the crisis in front of them. And if you didn't help their last crisis, then you've never helped them ever.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not willing to help in this crisis, then you've never helped them before. And it's dude, that's not. Step back and take look at the big picture. Look at everything. I get it. It's about to get a lot more expensive too, but it's still, you can't squeeze blood from a rock analogy. I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
You want me to start slanging drugs again, or you know what I mean? It's just I don't know what people sometimes expect.
I think it's true for a lot of folks, and there's a lesson in there in recovery as well. And I think it's people miss the forest for the trees. Mm-hmm. When it comes to that in general, which is always wanting to look for that outside assistance or that outside thing to blame, or the
either
outside
someone to save me, or somebody's fault. I can't because it's not mine,
or the external factors that caused it, or whatever.
And I get it, because I lived that way for many years.
Well, and I think that we still do. Like, we're humans.
Yeah, I mean,
we're people. We're hardwired to do that.
Yeah.
That's a survival mechanism. Like that's what our lizard brain does. Like, that, to a certain extent. You know, like that's how we're able to detect patterns and danger, and, you know, like, connect the dots about all sorts of things. Sure. And the trick, though, is being able to also say, yes, okay, what can I do? like all of that.
Yeah.
I have no control. That,
dude, my, like, sitting in my car earlier today in the line at that freaking car wash, I was like, it's the Serenity Prayer over and over again in my head, just like, dude, it's not in my,
right,
you know. And as we all know, it doesn't make that moment situationally any less frustrating, but, like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I dwelled on it a little bit, and I probably would have let it go if I didn't get home and find out that the radiator just doesn't exist, and they're gonna refund me. Like, okay. I feel better. I feel better just complaining about it a second time.
Yeah.
So earlier this week, Russ and I were talking, going back to Truax, where you work now and where I go to school. Russ, another friend of ours, who you may have seen in the interview section.
Russ,
also,
friend of the show. Check out the interview.
I'll link it down below. Well, not down below. I'll do it in the little card in the corner. So up here in that corner, I'll put the little thing. It's that corner. Anyway. Yeah. Unimportant. He's like, I don't know how you do it, man. And I'm like, do what? And he's like, I don't know how you, like, go to Truax like 3 days a week and spend, like, your whole life there on Monday and Wednesday. I'm like, why not? And he's like, bro, I don't know. I can't handle it. And I'm like, what is there to handle? And he's like, dude, it's just like, there's just all these, you know, kids there. And I'm like, yeah, but, like, so what? Like, I mean, you're the cool old dude in the room.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but, like, am I? Like, I'm like, dude, so wait, you're telling me that you're, like, paranoid that you're not cool enough for these children?
Yeah.
Like, I go in there wearing, like, a sideways hat and a tracksuit. I know you're doing the same goddamn thing, dude. And if they're, like, okay with me doing it, why aren't they okay with you doing it?
Do the Steve Buscemi line and be like,
like,
hey, fellow kids.
Yeah, hey, fellow teenagers. But the thing about it is like, you know, I alluded to this like a month or two ago, or a couple months ago, where it was like, once you've been in class with these people for a while, everybody, like, you know each other.
Then you're just a classmate.
Yeah, you're just a classmate. So it's like this idea that, like, there's any other defining factor between us once you're classmates. And it doesn't really exist. Like, in Spanish now, like, we're a giant group of people who are in Spanish, and it's like fun and ridiculous. That class just keeps getting more fun and ridiculous.
And more importantly,
I'm not even gonna lie, I am so looking forward to Spanish 2 this fall.
And more importantly,
I would have never thought I'd say that.
Anybody else that, like, thinks of you as anything other than just another classmate, that's their problem.
Well, yeah, and
like,
that's
not a you problem. Like, that speaks more about them than it does about you.
The people who think I'm just some old dude there don't talk to me, and the people who think that I'm cool for doing something different with my life in my 40s, they ask me about like how I came to this conclusion.
Right.
Like, they're interested because, you know, when you're in your early 20s, very rarely are you consistently exposed to somebody in their 40s trying to start over.
Yeah.
Like, very rarely.
Right.
And in fact, I can't think of one person that I knew when I was like in my early 20s, late teens, where it was like somebody who was like starting over. Sure, there's like, you know, a creepy old dude in the scene who's like hitting on the girls, but I'm not in there hitting on 19-year-old girls because they're like my daughter's age.
Right.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I told him, I'm like, in a sense, like there are some kids in some of my classes that I can just like tell, and it's not like from an ego spot, but you can tell they're kind of like trying to look up to you a little bit,
right?
Because you're the most mature person in the room,
yeah.
which is saying something about me being the most mature person in the room. But
yeah,
you know, let's be real. The professor is a professor at a community college, and the kids are kids. So I mean, anything's possible,
right? Right. Yeah. I mean,
but I'm like, Russ, man, like it's whatever the experience is, whatever you make it. So if you're going in there and feeling uncomfortable, and I get it to an extent, because when I first started going, I was like, this is fucking weird. Like I'm a 42-year-old dude in community college, but like you're there for the same reason everybody else is.
Yeah. Well, again.
And I said, Russ, well, you know, maybe you need to look inside of yourself and see what it is that you need to work on so that you feel comfortable doing what you are setting out to do.
Yet again, we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality.
I'm saying.
Like, you know, and true yet again.
I mean, I am thoroughly going to enjoy my entire college experience until the world ends. Because, like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have any interest in getting to the UW and going to frat parties or anything dumb like that because I'm not a child. But to experience, like, all of the other weird shit that goes on in school, like, man, it's fantastic. Like, it's absurd. It is so absurd because, like, all those kids, like, they are all still the nervous, anxious wrecks that everybody is.
Yeah.
Except they don't know how to express it yet because they're children.
Right. Yeah. That's
and it's hilarious to watch.
That's really the difference. We just are a little more articulate. A little.
I mean, a little. Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
slightly.
I mean, at least you and I had the wherewithal to take our nervous energy and make a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's... And, it took quite a bit of other things coming first.
To push us into this corner.
Before we were like, well, what else is there? I guess podcast? Like,
yeah.
I mean, we've checked a bunch of other boxes, so...
Well, last night, I think, like, in retrospect, I feel like I ended, because of the reading, I think I ended the meeting pretty appropriately with a gavel. But beyond that, beyond that, like, explaining to them that...
I love the fact that was just randomly there.
So do I, man. And I like how everybody in the room's like, don't give Mitchell a gavel. Who gave Mitchell a gavel? And it's like, what? How you people don't even know me beyond this room.
Yeah, but...
Like, do I really come off as the type of person who shouldn't wield a gavel?
I mean...
Probably.
Anyway.
Anyway. You know, with the reading being kind of like about the spiritual awakening or whatever in the 12th step, like trying to articulate to them in the room, like what that meeting means to like you and I versus what it means to them, like in that context, I think that it's important for them to understand that seeing them grow is the 12th step working for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so like that in itself, you know, because like why, I don't know. I could go to any meeting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Any meeting. Pick one.
Yeah.
And instead I choose to host that for people who need it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I know what you mean, but like I think that anytime at any meeting that I see folks who are new showing up and continue to show up, and like the most inspiring and like tingly feeling that you get is when you see that person come back and like really start
the past few weeks we're getting like stragglers, people I haven't seen in a month, just like coming in and even if they just come in and like, hey man, I'm there to listen, it's like, hey, way to come back to somewhere where you feel safe.
Yeah.
For some encouragement, you know?
But like, even at other meetings, like at my home group, like,
sure,
people that have years, you know, yes, they can say some things that are moving and inspiring, and I get a lot from that. But the ones that like I find myself choking up and like tearing up are the people who like just hit like 3 months, and you can see the, you know, like the light coming back in their eyes, and like you see them like really like becoming a human being again, and it's like,
well, there's some people that are consistently in that room that I didn't necessarily think that were going to be consistently in that room, and
you never know.
That's me being judgy, but
you never know.
But like, you know, it's cool to see.
Yeah. I'm sure there were plenty of people that had their doubts about me, and you know that rightfully so.
Bro, all hope was lost on me. Like they're like,
I wasn't sure.
Okay, dude.
I wasn't sure. Like it was venturing into the vast unknown.
It was really, really wild yesterday to do the math and be like 44. I remember when Brett hit 44.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's
that's the thing that happens. Numbers go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know me, I'm not like big on counting days. Like I don't really see the point, but it's like, you know, counting months for the sake of showing them that anything is possible. It's still sort of wild to see, you know.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me the other day when I made the post whenever it was
the 4-year.
No, when I posted 50 months, I think it was, or whatever, online, that, and somebody's like, you still count months, you know, and I think it was a genuine question. I don't think it was anybody like trying to troll or anything like that, you know, and you know, I think they were just genuinely like interested of like why. And you know, I explained, I was like, well, one of my mentors early on told me that, you know, not to really start telling myself years until at least 5.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me as well.
To always, if I'm going to share it publicly or talk about it publicly, always share it as, you know, months. Mm-hmm. Because that conveys that whole, you know, to anybody that's still like counting days or counting weeks or counting months, like to let them know like that's still the mindset, right? Like to frame it that way.
Do you know what, when I was at Oxford Worlds, a lot of the people got up and said days, and like a big enough number where you know that they're in the 15, 16, 17 year range, and you're like, bro, that's a lot of days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and it is weird though, because like when you're sitting at that like 45, 90, you know, even 180, 44 months seems really far away.
Yeah.
Like really far away.
Yeah.
And, you know, like retrospect, it was a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
You know, just like every other bit of time in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, it's like, it's hard to convey to somebody that their patience will be rewarded. It's like you always say. It's like, being told to trust the process when you've never been through the process.
Yeah, man.
It's like, hey man, trust me. 44 months goes by in a blink of an eye. It's like telling my teenage daughter you're going to be 30 before you know it.
Right.
Yeah, just nobody.
Right. Just
human beings are really bad at conceptualizing time.
Yeah.
Just terrible at it.
Yep. It is. It's very difficult to actually trust the process until you've seen the process work.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why it's important that we do what we do on Thursdays, because it's giving them an example.
Yeah, I mean I think so, and I like to believe that that's what happens, and if nothing else, it allows for there to be that meeting, like if it does nothing else, it keeps that meeting happening.
Sure.
If we do nothing else, at the bare minimum, it's keeping a meeting going.
I think that it was a fantastic idea to drag the spiritual principles daily into it. I think that's going to be good.
I'm a firm believer in it.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that maybe we have somebody else read the traditions and then you read the principle, I'll read the daily? Or do you think that I should read both the daily and the principle?
Well, so
I'm kind of down for whatever. Or do you want to read the principle at the end of the meeting?
I mean, I like the idea of doing both of the readings, like all of the readings in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I even think that, so one of the meetings that I go to that the format that I really like is just as the Spirit moves you, sharing. So it's not a fixed.
Yeah, popcorn.
Well,
I don't want to introduce that in that setting.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying for the sharing, but what I was thinking is more so for those two readings. So go through and do the normal beginning readings, and then once those are done, ask if anybody wants to read the two meditations. Right? So do the normal opening readings, then then you can open the meeting and say, we've got this reading and this reading. Does anybody want to read either of them? And then it could be one or the other first. It doesn't matter which one.
Selfishly, I like reading the daily. But it's food for thought. It's food for thought.
Or, somebody could volunteer to read one and you read the other, or whatever, something like that.
And so I say selfishly, part of it feels like it's my responsibility as the one chairing the meeting to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
but I get where you're coming from. I mean, it gives them more opportunity to participate. So, I mean, I see it from that side as well. Yeah. I think in that setting, popcorn for sharing is dangerous because, if not forced, a lot of people won't say anything. Whereas in the circle, you at least have to pass. You know what I mean? Which is fine. If you're there to listen, you're there to listen. I have listened at plenty of meetings, especially when I was in that early. Mm. But,
Yeah. The reason I bring it up is it's gotten to the point where it's almost 50-50.
Yeah.
clients and non-clients at this
ex-clients.
You know.
Well, I mean, and like it's kind of lovely that the girls have been coming every week now. I think that's been a really healthy meeting for one of them in particular, because you know she feels comfortable enough to share, which is not something that she normally feels out in the world, if you will. Yeah, I don't know.
But food for thought. You know.
We probably shouldn't be wasting our tiny ass timeline today on having this discussion on camera, but I guess it doesn't matter.
No,
This is what it's like though when you are participating actively in recovery in the real world. You have to have these discussions. You have to decide how the meeting might work when you take on enough of a service role that you are responsible for maintaining the meeting.
Yeah.
So,
and the nice thing about having a podcast is we can talk about whatever the hell we want. So, congratulations. Welcome to our world.
You're goddamn right.
You are goddamn right. Did I put this in the group chat?
I don't know.
What, you can't see through my brain and my eyes?
No.
Oh my gosh. All these years, you and I have been hanging out together, and you cannot see through my face. Okay. So this one's hilarious, but this one's really funny. Okay.
I think you did.
Yeah, it's pretty funny though.
Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm. So it's a father and son, and the father says, "This is nature, son, untouched by civilization." He goes, "That squirrel has a cell phone." And the dad goes, "Well, I guess they had to adapt eventually." And the son goes, "And a gun." And he says, "Well, son, that's his right, because this is America." Okay, I found this one too. This one's pretty funny. I don't think I've shared this one in the chat. I'll put this one up as well. But I liked the memes being in it last week, and I think that's a fun thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke about Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. And then I'll throw a cat meme up right now.
I love the Internet Explorer memes.
Yeah, I mean, I handed that meme to my 15-year-old, and she's like, "I don't get it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you're so young, you didn't have to experience."
The older they are, the more relevant they are.
Oh my God, they're so I don't know. She's like, "What is Internet Explorer even? Have we even used that in like 10 years?" I'm like, probably. I don't think I've used it in 20 because it was that bad. Firefox, baby. Anyway. So, the 29th, are you going to be able to come to that breakfast?
I don't know. Probably.
Okay. Well, I mean, you should probably ask your work like Monday, since it'll be a couple of weeks out at that point.
What day of the week is it?
It's a Tuesday, I believe.
Oh.
April 29th. You just have to be late to work.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, which is why I've asked you if you
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. Also, real world stuff.
Gotcha. I was like, I don't know. Why would they care?
Because you're supposed to be at work when it's going on.
It's the weekend.
No, it's. I believe it's a Tuesday.
I mean, I'm sure.
I will look at my calendar.
I could probably figure something out. They're pretty chill.
Yeah, it's the 29th. It is a Tuesday. And it's at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's breakfast and, community organization. So, recovery based.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet, man.
So you have to go bowling?
I'm going to go bowling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you also like to bowl, you should probably put a like on this video.
Yeah. Yeah. Bowling's fun, man.
Subscribe if you haven't already. You may find a button right here. If you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, go ahead and chuck a review on there.
Give that button a tickle.
Go ahead and chuck a review on here. We like 5 stars, but if you feel otherwise, it still triggers the algorithm to make people who might hate it listen, which is the really weird thing about the internet.
Yeah.
Everything's by design, I suppose. We couldn't find God, so we had to create him.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
So we do this for ourselves as much as we do it for you guys, just like the meeting on Thursday. So, we appreciate your continued support. And
big facts.
Yeah. We got to keep this one a little short, so we'll see you guys next week. All right. Love you guys.
Everybody that's come in there since, they're like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
well, it's like another one of those, like, how did this not occur to anybody before me?